We started the Carbon Farmer Inc. because I grew up on a third-generation family farm, and I grew up hearing my dad, complain about low grain prices and closing elevators, and the size of our farm all combined to make me realize that it just wasn't a sustainable operation the way it was. So we kind of had two choices. Do we go big corporate agriculture, or do we do something unique? And so we have decided to create forests on about a third of our land, and the rest is being transitioned to organic heritage grains. The world is facing major environmental issues, including habitat loss and climate change, and we created forests because they help address both of those issues. We're restoring boreal forest by planting native tree species, and those trees, as they grow, store carbon, which help offset people's carbon footprints.
We started the business from the whole concept of how do we maintain the farm that's been in our family for 3 generations? How do we do it in a way that's sustainable and that is doing something healthy for the world? And with our offsets, we're restoring forest in the Boreal region that has, I guess, up until this point been farmed, and we're saying, hey, let's bring it back and restore what was once there.
The heritage grain perspective comes in because we really don't want to get into a food versus carbon debate. We want the best land in Alberta to be maintained as farmland, ideally speaking, in my opinion, organically. And the same thing for our land. So we've taken a third of it that's less, basically lower quality farmland, or land that's in really key habitat areas. So right along the river, the Notikewin River and the Peace River run very close to our land. And we're planting those areas down to trees, but there's really good quality land that we have, so we're transferring that into heritage grains and organic to make sure that we maintain that balance and are really choosing the suitability of the land instead of just saying it's all dirt. If we pump enough fertilizer and we pump enough chemicals into it, we can create a crop. It's really looking at what is that land best suited for and making sure that that's part of our operation. This project here, we planted about 100,000 lodgepole pine in 2009, and because diversity is really important to what we're doing, we've come in this spring and planted another 60,000 trees, a total of 10 different species to give a total of 11, I guess. So we've planted lodgepole pine, balsam poplar, trembling aspen, white spruce, black spruce, paper birch, as well as different shrub species. So pin cherry, Labrador tea, blueberries, high bush cranberries, dogwood, basically to make sure we're not just storing carbon, but we're really creating an ecosystem. These are the first trees we planted in 2007. The forest is called Dad's Forest. So you can see that a lot of the pine are at my shoulder or higher at this point. And the great part in what we were doing earlier today was, now that we have our native grasses established, we have 7 different species of native grass we planted in between, we're now able to plant in some different shrub and berry species. So we're planting pin cherry earlier today and just adding that dynamic into this forest to ensure that habitat quality, along with the carbon storage that's obviously progressing really well with the growth we've had in these lodgepole. There's 2 things from a food perspective that are really important to us. We want to, like I mentioned, the shrub species that we're planting on this project, we want to do some wild crafting. So we're putting in berry species and very herbaceous plants that we can go in and harvest for teas or medicinal purposes or various things, because it's going to give us not only that habitat restoration component, but also a long-term income from that piece of property and give us some extra value for the next generation, because I'll get some carbon value out of it, but my generation or my kids won't.
As far as, the difference when you look around here, the fact that it's not all plowed up and machines everywhere, that's been a real positive to see, to just see it coming back to how it naturally was years ago, and already the animals that have come back into the, I guess, our forest. You can't really see the big trees yet, but that it's creating an environment for them to come back to, and all the different bugs we've seen, and we found some rare plants. Some of the people that are surveying for us have said there's these plants here that aren't anywhere else up as far as we are north, that they haven't been able to see them, so they were all excited. And northern harriers building nests in the area and things like that. It's really refreshing.
We have had critics from day one. We've had critics within our own family, to be honest with you. Lots of critics in our community. We've had a lot more support in larger urban centers, strangely enough, but folks here don't see the value of a tree as we do. I took biological sciences in university, learned about the importance of habitat, and it's always been a part of what I've been connected to. And to see the food systems that we create these days that are built on high energy input, non-sustainable practices, to me, it's just not the right way to take care of land that's been in my family for 3 generations. Why would I do that to it? Why would I degrade it? Why wouldn't I create a system that is truly sustainable? And, it's one thing to make money this year, but it's another to make money off the land and have it be holistic for generations to come. And I don't think everyone in today's agricultural industry really looks at land stewardship from a holistic perspective. The end result that we're trying to avoid is having to leave the family farm. You have so many places in Alberta, the census year after year is lower amount of farms, lower amount of farms, lower amount of farms, and that's people like me not returning to take care and steward for the land that's been in their family. That's really what we're trying to avoid here, and in my opinion, that goes hand in hand with practices that are big industrial agriculture. So needing to be bigger, needing to have the biggest piece of machinery, and really needing to just call every piece of land the same, and it's not. And we want to be different and also produce food that we'd be proud to eat. I always found it really surprising that we have our garden on the farm that never gets sprayed, rotated still with clovers, doing all that stuff, and mom and dad were very keen on keeping it that way. That's stay away, don't spray the lawn or do anything around the garden. Yet we're producing food using chemicals and fertilizers we got out of rotations, and it doesn't make sense to me. I can't be proud of producing something that I'm not going to eat myself, and it's really inconsistent for me, and I just don't want to farm that way. And if I'm going to be a 3rd generation and take it on to the 4th, I need something that I can be proud of and proud of my kids to have, and this is what it is for me.